Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Bird, Nick, and today it's another Ask the Pulpit show. I was supposed to have Mike Brinker on with me, and unfortunately Mike is a little under the weather, and we were supposed to record yesterday, and he pushed it off to today, and so then this morning I was like, hey man, how you feeling? I was like, look, if you're still feeling like shit, I can do an Ask the Pulpit, we can record next week, and that's what we're going to do. So, we are going to be listening to some of your phone calls with your comments, your questions, your concerns, your critiques, whatever you've, called in about. We're going to get to those. But first, we're going to fire up a cigar. And today, we are going to be smoking the Aladino Fuma Noche. It's 6 1/4 by 54 Toro. And we don't really know anything about the makeup of the blend. Aladino says that it uses a Maduro wrapper, but it does not disclose any details about that wrapper. And the binder and the filler are both grown on the Aroa family farm in Honduras. So we know it's Honduran tobacco. But otherwise, we don't know anything about the blend of the Fuma Noche. But we know that Fuma Noche translates into night smoke. And given the late hour at which I find myself recording this episode for Tuesday, it seemed appropriate to go with this or the Davidoff night late hour, and I don't have one of those, and so you guys get the Fuma Noche. And also, Aladino sponsors the show. Davidoff doesn't. Now, if Davidoff wants to sponsor the show, I would have done everything I could to get myself a late hour, but I didn't, and so here we are with the Fuma Noche. But that's okay. I'm trying to get the footband off. For those of you wondering, what is he doing there? I'm trying desperately. There is a little footband on there, and I would prefer not to smoke that. And so I'm trying to get that off there. But there we go. We got it. So, all right. Well, it's time to cut the cigar, and the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and excellent customer service. I'm sure you can probably head over to their website right now and pick up the Fuma Noche if you guys have never had one of these before, and you're enticed by this episode. You can head on over there and get some of those, and if you like full-bodied cigars, I'm sure you'll like it. So please go to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase. Tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. And with that, it's time to go ahead and cut the cigar. Well, I'm looking forward to this because, quite frankly, I haven't had many cigars lately. I got myself a new doctor. It's so salty right there with the cigar there, with the wrapper. It's nice saltiness to the outside of this. On the cold drop. Man, it has been a minute since I've had one of these. And this is so fun, guys. This is fun because this doesn't happen to me super often. Sometimes when you do a cold draw or you smoke a cigar and you get a flavor note, every once in a while you get one where it just stands out and you're like, holy shit, that's it. That is the one. That is the thing. Like it hits your palate and your brain just goes, I know exactly what that is. That is, and in this case, it is one of those molasses cookies, the ones that are shaped like the little windmill, and oh yeah, like a cinnamon and baker spice, the molasses cookie, the little short, or I don't know if it's shortbread. It's not shortbread. They're molasses cookies. They're darker, and they're shaped like a little windmill. And oh my gosh, that's exactly what this is. This cigar is hitting that cookie. That cookie is this cigar on the cold draw. Plain and simple. With maybe a slight dusting of salt. Just a little hint of salt with the molasses cookie. This is not a Mr. Jonathan moment. I swear to God, my brain is telling me that, and I am like dead on. And so I defy anybody to get a Fuma Noche and do a cold draw, and I'm telling you, molasses cookie with a hint, just a dusting of salt. Anyway, well, as I was saying, I went to the doctor, but let's do the greatest commercial you ever heard, and then we'll catch up with all that and go from there.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame.
Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino Corojo.
Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused.
I guess that's so. They can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars uses authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard.
Yeah.
Boy, that lighter got a little warm on me. Anyway, so I went to the doctor, and today was blood test day, and it was one of those things that I kind of wanted to, well, I should say today was blood test day number 2, which it is what it is. There were a couple things that they wanted to do a second round on just to see, what's what. Nothing bad. I'm not dying. As I start coughing. I'm not dying, I swear. I am, look, I'm a man in his early 40s who desperately does need to lose some weight. So needless to say, there's a few things that come into play there. But with that being said, after doing a little research this weekend about various things, I determined, I'm going to lay off the cigars this weekend before I get this blood test. And so I did. I didn't smoke at all this weekend. And so this is the first cigar back. Well, yes, for argument's sake, this is the first cigar back since all that. And so, anyway, the palate is refreshed and good. And so, molasses cookies. I got that on the cold draw. That was fun. I almost would have, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't ready to fire up the cigar yet, but I had to because we got to get the show rolling. So, anyway, my other PSA regarding the whole doctor situation. Gentlemen, if you are like me and you've put off going to the doctor for a very long time because, well, I know what he's going to say. I don't want to hear what he has to say. So I'm just going to hold off and, wait for that. Don't do that. It's never good to wait and do it. And quite frankly, some of my problems, again, I'm not dying and I don't have anything major, but some of my issues probably could have been addressed better 5 years ago, 10 years ago than they are at this point. Right now, I just have a lot of hard work ahead of me. So there's that. But neither here nor there. Let's go ahead now and jump right into the point of the episode.
Shall we play a game?
You talking to me? I have a question for you.
You gotta ask me nicely.
Ask me about my winner!
You got a question? You ask the 8-ball.
Come on, sucker. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. Indeed, it is time for another round of Ask the Pulpit. And guys, you can get your questions in by calling the hotline, area code 863-874-0000. That's area code 863-874-0000. And, it's an automated thing. You call, there's a little voice message deal, and you leave a message. I think there's like a 3-minute cap on it. You leave a message, and I play it on the show, and I answer whatever questions, concerns, whatever you happen to have. And we go from there. So let's go ahead now and listen to the first call that we have here.
Hey, Nick, it's Dennis from the hinterlands of Western Canada calling.
What up, Dennis?
Catching up on some episodes here. And just finished listening to the most recent one for Tuesday, May 27th.
Okay.
So just an observation listening to Dakota there talk about mosquitoes. Yeah, in Canada there are places where the mosquitoes will carry you away. Thankfully, I don't live in one of those. And thankfully, the air does not hurt my face at this time of year here, so we're very happy about that. What else? Oh, man.
That sounds way too cold.
Another place where mosquitoes don't hurt your face is Iceland, because they don't have mosquitoes. And I'm going there in 2 weeks with my daughter.
Oh, man.
On a father-daughter trip. We decided to pull the trigger on it and go, because we talked about it years ago, and before life gets busy, what the hell, we're going to go. So I'll tell you how that goes, maybe, if I remember down the road. Planning on snorkeling at the Silfra Fisher. I can't talk my daughter into it. You have to wear a dry suit because the water is 2 degrees Celsius, I see. So that looks cool.
Maybe I'll go.
Literally. Haha. Yeah, what else? Oh, Indy. I would love to go to an Indy race sometime.
You should.
Maybe that'll be a retirement trip. That's another question.
Pretty cool place.
Your dad's retired. I just wonder what he likes to do in his retirement. I know he goes on some vacations, among other things. I'm looking at that in a couple of years. Maybe sooner if I get pissed off one day and don't want to work anymore. What else? Sorry about your United Cigar there. I'd like to hear what you said about that. I'm currently smoking a Don Tomas from Nicaragua. Nicaragua. Can't talk.
Gotta watch that one.
My dog likes breakfast at 4 a.m., so I must appeal to her and her little brother. What else? Oh, another place that doesn't have mosquitoes. Maybe I said this already. Sorry if I did, but Switzerland. We just come back from a trip there visiting some of my wife's family. They're like second and third, fourth cousins, that kind of thing. She found them about 10 years ago through some searching, and yeah, very interesting place, very clean country. Highly recommend you go there if you get a chance. Found some really nice cigars in a humidor there at a golf course. I didn't buy any.
Oh, looks like Dennis hit the 3-minute mark. So, before we jump into the rest of Dennis's message, I do want to address, maybe I'll have to consider going to Iceland after it becomes part of the United States, and then I don't have to worry about the whole passport situation. It's just another state. And if I can travel through the 51st state of I'm picking fights, and I'm sorry. I'm having fun. No, seriously, any place that bills itself that has no mosquitoes, I'm willing to go. I'm willing to give it a shot. And Iceland looks like it's a gorgeous place. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Iceland's the one that's nice. Greenland's the one that's icy. So are we going after Greenland or are we going after Iceland? I can't remember. Never mind. I may have just screwed that whole joke up. So, all right.
Hey, Nick, it's Dennis again. I managed to hit the 3-minute mark, so I'll try not to this time. But, yeah, Switzerland, very cool country. If you love guns, that's a good place to go. Got to go with one of the cousins to an underground gun range in an old bunker. And that guy that owned it was really fascinating. He
Okay.
is a gun nut. I thought I was, but that guy, cool, really cool stuff he had.
All right.
And much better laws than we have here in Canada at the moment. And on that note, I wouldn't be averse to becoming a 51st state.
Oh, look at that.
I know politics isn't part of the show here, but as an Albertan and some of the BS laws that have come in here, there's a lot of us that aren't opposed to that idea. So maybe Mr. Trump will be our president one day. We would love to have him here. I know I like him. I'm a little irritated with him about the election, but anyhow, so be it. And Saskatoon Pie is coming.
What?
So I know I promised you last year I would look into that. I will do that. I have a plan to send you a pie. I just have to see if FedEx will do it for me. So, chat with you later. Stay smoky, brother. Report on Iceland coming. See you later. Bye.
I'm curious about Iceland. Thank you, Dennis. And dude, I mean, if you're sending me pie, I'm pretty happy. You know, I know I just said that I've got lifestyle changes, but you know, a little pie is not going to hurt anything. I mean, I'm curious about the Saskatoon pie. That's and not to get political for a moment, but that is an interesting perspective because I've heard both sides, and I find it. I mean, I guess it's just like anywhere. You have people that have differing opinions on the issues and everything. I find it interesting that you wouldn't have a problem because let me tell you, man. I mean, it may seem like the grass is greener on this side of the fence. And it might be in a lot of there are a few things that you guys have going on that I scratch my head and I'm like, what is up with that? But we're just like anywhere else. We have our problems, we have our issues, and shit can go really, really wrong here too. So I just, I still say fundamentally the United States is the greatest country that's ever graced the face of the planet. However, we got some work. We got some work to do. We got some work to do, and we as a society desperately need to start finding a way to civilly discuss issues instead of just immediately getting militant about everything. But, that's what I'll say about that. So, moving on, we have another call here. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it, as always. Here we go.
Yeah, hey, Nick. This is from up in Massachusetts. I was listening to the show last week in reference to Mr. J and Trey Mac kind of having a date night. But honestly, I was thinking something that might go really well, event of the century, is at the expo. Maybe Trey Mac can go up for that, and then he and Jonathan can participate in the night fights that they're having. Just think it would be a pretty interesting match. First off, seeing both of those guys in armor, they probably aren't strong enough to walk, but then watching them go at it, it just to me seems like something that would be kind of amusing.
Yes.
So not a long voicemail or anything, but just figured I'd throw that out there. Maybe the next time you talk to Trey Mac, you can mention it to him, have Husto bring him to the expo, and then the two of them can really go at it.
Oh, dude.
All right, later.
I love this idea. I love this idea so much that I am going to make sure I reach out to Trey Mac, and I am going to make sure that he talks to Husto about this, because I don't know if there would be a more interesting battle. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to the expo this year. I'm really disappointed I couldn't make it. A lot of things in life kind of happened to where it just didn't work out for me this time. But with that said, I would have the worst FOMO of my life if I found out that Mr. Jonathan and Trey Mac suited up in armor and had a night battle against each other. Because I think the night battles sound really fun to begin with. I mean, I missed the midget wrestling. I was there for the strongman competition. Now I'm missing the nights. Why is it that I keep missing the fights? Why is it that Dave keeps scheduling the fighting on the years that I can't make it? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. But if I found out that those two were going to do battle medieval style in suits of armor, oh my God. I think I'd have to find a way to get up there. I'd hitchhike or whatever. I'd have to get up there because I don't know if I could live with myself without seeing that in person. Now, the only thing that I have a question about is where we could procure armor for the two of them, because you're going to have to get a woman's set of our outfit of armor for Jonathan. He's way too thin for all the male armor that they have available. I'm confident that the male armor he'd be swimming in that. Like, he desperately needs something that's more svelte, kind of bring it in a little bit, hug the curves, and, kind of more dainty. So, hopefully he can get some female armor. Now, let's be real, we are talking medieval times, thankfully. We're not talking like fantasy time or like, barbarian times, because then he'd be out there in a chainmail bikini, and nobody needs to see Mr. Jonathan in a chainmail bikini. But the other problem you're going to have is a suit of armor for Trey Mac, because that's where you're going to need the husky, stocky boy size armor. He's going to need a husky, stocky child size armor. And I don't know if they have children armor to begin with, much less the husky size, child armor. Yeah, that could be an issue, because I don't know how many people of that size range they have fighting on a regular basis. So it may take a little bit of smithing before this battle. They may have to smith out some suits of armor for both Trey Mac and Mr. Jonathan. So we need to get on this quick so that they can potentially have the armor ready. But I am a huge fan of this idea. I think this is a wonderful idea, and I think this needs to happen. Yeah, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my level best to make sure that this happens. Because, yeah, I think I need to see this. I think the world is owed Mr. Jonathan and Trey Mac in a night battle. I think that is like something that we collectively as a society need to happen so that we can move on. There are benchmarks in history. There are things that take place in history that are benchmarks, and you look at it and you're like, I am living in a post blah blah blah. We're in a post 9/11 world. We're in a post Harambe being shot world. In this case, I want to live in a post Mr. Jonathan versus Trey Mac night battle world. So the way I see it is there are 4 people we got to get on board. We got to get Trey Mac on board, which I don't think we're going to have much problem there. We got to get Justo on board because he's got to bring Trey Mac, and that might be the harder one. We got to get Dave on board. Personally, I don't know if Dave would have a problem with this. I think Dave would be perfectly fine with it. But then we got to get Mr. Jonathan on board. And I kind of feel like the one that's going to be the issue is going to be Justo. I think he's the one out of the 4 of them that I think would have the biggest issue. So maybe what we do is we have the husky boy armor smithed for Trey Mac. A special set designed for his height and stocky girth. And maybe what we do is we brand that thing up like a NASCAR with as many Aladino stickers as humanly possible. And maybe what we do is we brand it up as he's the Fuma Noche Knight, He's the Night Smoke Knight, and we have him. He's the Lord Fuma Noche, or whatever you want to call him, the Fuma Noche Knight. I like that. And then what we do is we brand up Mr. Jonathan's female armor that we smith up as the Corojo Reserva. So now it's a battle of the cigars. We have the Fuma Noche versus the Corojo Reserva, and it's a all Aladino fight. It's Mr. John. I love this idea. I'm rolling with this idea. I think this is great. And if we don't see this take place in September, I feel like the world has been cheated. And so I am formally calling for this to happen. I know that Ed Sullivan listens. I know that Dave listens, So those guys, they're going to hear this. And so Dave, call up Justo. Make your best case. You can use every bit of promotion I just gave you and make your best case. Get Justo to bring Trey Mac and have a fight between Trey Mac and Mr. Jonathan. I think you would set the world on fire with that fight. I think it would be. You could pay-per-view it. You could literally stream it. You could get Ed or somebody to stream that fight online and pay-per-view it, and there would be people that would be willing to pay. Not much, but they'd pay something. I'd pay something. I wouldn't pay much, but I would pay something to see that. Although I would desperately want to see it in person. I would not want to stream it. I would want to do what I could to get up there to see it because, quite frankly, I feel like some of the whimpers and cries probably wouldn't come over the microphones all that well, and I desperately want to hear every single one of them as these two just beat the piss out of each other in Suso armor. So, that is a wonderful call. I love that idea. Thank you so much for calling in. Let's move on to the next call here. Okay. There we go. That's right. There was the 9-second call.
What's up, Nick? This is Dakota.
What's up, Dakota?
I was just listening to your Viva la Revolution, where you kind of crap talk
the French
for a moment. Anyway, it was a Friday, and you didn't have one of the sometimes, a lot of times, disturbing pinky fact. And, I figured since there was, a void, I'll fill it with the random, nature fact, I guess.
Boy.
It's kind of what I do, so
nature.
I figured it'd be fun. Anyway, I could give a freaking hour-long or more program on this topic, but I'll keep it very short. Did you know that beetles are the most numerous and diverse species of animal? There are over 400,000 currently described species of beetles, accounting for approximately 40% of all described insect species and 1/4 of the entirety of all known animal species on Earth. Imagine that.
Dude, thank you for that little drop of information. I feel like we've all learned something. No, I did not realize that was the case. I mean, I know that there are a lot of different beetles that typically we're just like, it's a beetle, but they're obviously different amongst themselves. But I didn't know that there were that many different kinds of beetles. I just, wow. All right then. I've learned something today. As for the Pinky Fun Facts, it all comes down to scheduling, guys. I gotta sit down with her. And we gotta record a whole bunch of them so that I have them banked up. And so far, schedules have not worked in order to do that. So I'm gonna try really hard to get that done. But yeah, it's been difficult. The month of June, guys. I'm not gonna get into my calendar, but I cannot emphasize to you enough just how crazy my month of June is. My month of June is just packed with so much stuff, and I'm trying desperately to keep my head above water with work I have to do, the podcast, and everything else. I mean, I am just, and I've got all kinds of different stuff being thrown at me. Like I'm putting a new roof on my house. I've got so much going on this month, and it is all sorts of complicated. So bear with me. I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to get some shows scheduled out in advance so that I can have that under control. And all. But no, I have not had a chance to sit down with Pinky and record more fun facts. Maybe I'll have a chance before Friday. I don't guarantee it, but maybe I'll have a chance before Friday. We will see. So, anyway, Dakota, thanks so much for the fun fact. I appreciate it. All right, we got another call here.
Hey, Jerry Blaze here.
We just had you, Jerry.
As luck would have it, as lady luck would have it, as it turns out there, I was at my local watering hole the other day, and I was eavesdropping on some conversations there, as it turns out. Anywho, come to find out, I ran into a lady there who knew you from one of your visits out of town there, as it turns out. Anywho, I have her here, and she'd like to say a little message for the Ask the Pulpit hotline here.
Uh-oh.
I'll put her on. Hello, Mr. Miller. You no longer can stay at my hotel. You poops on top of poops and no cleanup. Poo-poos. No on top of poo-poos. Leave the poo-poos on top of poo-poos. No plunge, no poo-poos, no good. Anyway, sounds like you two have a lot of catching up to do there. As it turned out.
Oh my fucking God. Well, Jerry, yeah, no, it was a very unfortunate visit. I'm assuming you must be down in your local watering hole in New Orleans there. But yep, nope, that happened. I've admitted it. I can't take it back. It happened. It's unfortunate, but it's where we're at. It's where we're at. So, oh my God. Okay, I'm amused. That was good. That was good, Jerry. That was really good. I'm amused by that. So, all right, we got another. I love this bit. I think I've got like I don't even know how many calls and recordings we've gone through so far and everything, but like I could do this all night long. I love hearing from you guys and all the wacky shit you guys bring to the table and informational shit and everything. Like, who knew Iceland didn't have mosquitoes until tonight? I didn't know that. Who knew that beetles account for like so many of the animals in the world? I didn't know that. And who knew that Jerry Pulaski drinks down in New Orleans and met the Asian? I don't know. Lady that apparently cleaned my hotel room. So anyway, moving on to another call.
Hey, Nick, this is listener Jay. Hopefully my question makes more sense this month than last month because I forgot to say certain words in it because I'm kind of slow.
It's okay.
But I recently bought a cigar, paid a good price for it, was an enjoyable celebration one. I left it in the bag with the Bovita pack over the weekend. Do you recommend, or how long do you recommend, if it gets over-humidified for it to sit out for? Do you recommend letting it sit out for a couple hours, overnight? Is there any way to do that? Because I got it out, smoked it, and it just burned from the inside down. The burn line didn't even move. Okay. So I was just wondering, kind of help out next time so I know, like, hey, leave it out overnight, and it'll save me wasting $40 on a cigar. Stay smoky. Thank you.
That's a good question, and I will freely admit I have in my cabinet humidor a Cigar Oasis, and I have it set to 65. And I struggle with that with some cigars right now. Now, granted, this time of year in St. Louis, it starts getting humid just in the air. And so that's the problem in St. Louis is you got to take it's humidor maintenance, guys. You got to take the humidity of your humidor down ever so slightly, because the cigars, when you take them out, they are going to take in some of the just ambient humidity of the air if you live in a very wet, humid area of the country. If you live in a really dry area of the country, it's kind of the opposite. You got to always make sure that your humidor is, because we get very, very dry here in the wintertime in St. Louis. And so I always have to pump up the humidor in the winter, take down the humidor in the summer. And so that I deal with that myself sometimes. So I would say, personally, the Fuma Noche I'm smoking right now, it's been sitting on my counter for a couple days. It's not smoking badly at all. I mean, it's smoking really well, actually. You know, I just kind of, I let it out. I let it breathe, let it do its thing. In terms of like this, you know, I've got cigars that are sitting there that have been out for quite a while. I'm trying to think of something. Oh, okay. So I get the Cigar Authority show pack every month. I can tell you right now that my this June, my May show pack, which I would have gotten at the very, 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 very end of April. There are still 3 cigars left in the little bag that they send it in, and there's no Boveda pack in that bag or anything. It's 3 cigars sitting in a little sealed top bag, and it's sitting on a table next to the humidor with some other stuff that needs to be organized. Those cigars are going to be, I could go inside, grab one, smoke it right now, and it would smoke wonderfully. It hasn't been in a humidor since they packed it up and shipped it out of 2 guys in late April. But it's just fine. So, you know, I think we're a little humidity afraid for the most part. I do think that we can kind of let the cigars be a little bit. Don't let one sit out for, 6 months without doing anything with it. And just test it. Give it a little, just at the foot of the cigar, just give it a little slight, light kind of squeeze. If it bounces back, it's over humidified. If it sounds like leaves crumbling when you do that, it's probably pretty dry, But yeah, just work with it. I mean, in terms of this cigar, I'm really sorry you had a poor experience with a $40 cigar. That really sucks. That takes the celebration right out of it. But, I would say don't be afraid. If you're going to buy it and it's in a bag with a Boveda pack and you know that you're going to be smoking it on this specific day, depending on where you live, it's hard for me to say not knowing that, knowing your environment. All these weather apps have the humidity on them and everything. You can look at it and tell what's what. I would say maybe let it sit out for a day or 2 if you want to do that, and it should smoke just fine. That would be my only advice. I don't know. I'm not necessarily an expert, but I'm just telling you from my own personal experience of smoking quite a few cigars. I think we're all very, very afraid of the humidity boogeyman, and I think that while humidity does play a role and is important over long periods of time, I think if you go to the store and you buy cigars on a Monday and you plan on smoking it on Friday, does it need to be in a humidor for those 4 days leading up to Friday? It's completely up to you. Personally, I probably would just set it on the counter and then on Friday grab it and smoke it. That's just me. But anyway, I hope that helps. I mean, and I hope next time you get one that doesn't have that problem. So anyway, we got one more call here on the hotline.
Bishop Nick, what's up, man?
What's up?
It's Tyrone calling out of Pittsburgh, PA. Hey, man, quick question for you. I know a couple episodes ago you were talking about the importance of smoking in the car. I believe that's what it was. But my question is to you, have you ever smoked in a rental car? I got a trip coming up, and I'm thinking about possibly, smoking in a car. I got a little drive that I kind of got to do once I get to my vacation destination. But I'm just trying to see, you ever smoke in a car, and what's your tips? How do you get rid of the smell, or how you minimize the smell, or what have you? Let me know, man. I have smoked in my car before, and I have used some disinfect spray, like some Ozark stuff. It kind of minimizes, but I kind of don't want to pay that, run a car fine. So let me know what's your tips if you ever done it, and if you other listeners have done it. So let me know, man. All right, man. Have a good one.
Okay. I'm going to give you some advice. The first bit of advice I probably would tell you is if you don't want to pay it, you can always be on the safe side and not smoke. That's the easy way out. I'm going to tell you my advice as to how to do it. Now, with that being said, I've never done it. I've always been too afraid of paying the cleaning fee, which, I mean, that's like, what, $250 or whatever it is. I don't want to screw with that. So, you know, and trust me, it sucks because I drove from here to Indianapolis in mid-May in a rental car, and that's 4 hours one way, 4 hours back. So that's 8 hours round trip in the car. And normally I'd have been puffing a cigar damn near the whole time, and I didn't because I was in a rental car. Now, if you're going to smoke in a rental car, the first thing that I would maybe, and I'll also give the caveat that some of these are viable, legitimate tips, but let's be real, I'm giving you tips as to how to cheat the rental car company. So all of these are going to be a little maybe underhanded just due to the situation. Some of them are going to be really underhanded. The first one that I feel like is probably really kind of bordering on the underhanded is get the car, pull away from the rental car place, give it about 2 or 3 minutes, and then call them and say, guys, when's the last time this car was cleaned? It smells like somebody smoked in here. And then it like goes on the record that it smelled when you got it. Will that matter? I don't know. But it doesn't hurt to kind of try and establish up front that it already smelled so that if your cleaning methods don't work, you can try and say, hey, I told you like 2 minutes after I left the lot that this thing smelled. You guys knew, and it's not on me. So I guess what I'm really saying is, how much are you willing to lie? That's what it really boils down to. How much are you willing to lie? So tip number 1 would be call them up a few minutes after you leave, report that it smells like smoke so that they put it on the record, and then that way all of your cleaning efforts after that, if they don't fully work, you can, say, hey, I told you so. And then if they do work and they go out there and they're like, doesn't smell like smoke to me, you can just be like, well, I had a really small, maybe I'm more sensitive to it than you are, or whatever. Or maybe you just turn in, they smell, and they're like, doesn't smell like smoke to me, and they pass it on to the next guy, and it's all forgotten about. That's the perfect scenario. Anyway, the next thing I would recommend, definitely have a proper ashtray. And with that, what I mean by that is you're going to want something where the ash is not going to fly everywhere. I normally would tell you for your own car, get one of the like metal canister, like the Stinky brand ashtray, or one of the little metal canisters that can fit your thing. What I would actually recommend for a rental car, in order to keep the ash under control, you're not going to want the ash going everywhere, which means in a perfect world, what you would do is you would go McDonald's, Hardee's, Carl's Jr., whatever you call it, wherever you're at. Somewhere where you can get a plastic to-go cup. Do not get styrofoam. Get a plastic to-go cup. And get yourself a beverage. Drink the beverage down. Make sure you have maybe minimum a half or better of ice. Make sure it's fairly full of ice after you've consumed the beverage. And use that as your ashtray. Because what's going to happen is when you ash into that, the ice and the liquid on the ice is going to hold the ash. It's not going to fly everywhere. It's going to stick to the wet inside of the cup and the wet ice and eventually the liquid that develops in the cup. Because the ice is going to melt and you're going to end up with that really nasty brown, black, soupy bullshit that's the combination of ash and melted ice. That's fine. The ash is going to stick to the liquid and it's not going to go flying everywhere. Don't hit bumps to where that gets sloshed everywhere, though. And definitely don't drink it, because that's going to be nasty. But that would be my ashtray recommendation. The next thing would be, obviously, the windows. Do not be afraid to just air the shit out of that car. Normally, when I'm driving in my car, I have the driver's side window cracked about, 2 inches at most, with the passenger side rear window cracked equally. And that way it creates the airflow through the car, coming over the roof, in through the back window, across the vehicle, and out through the driver's window. Sucks the air or smoke and air right out. If it were me and I were in a rental car and I were smoking, I'd probably have I'd do that, but I don't know, man. I might even think about taking that driver's window all the way down, just to do that. Then again, when I take the driver's window all the way down, the smoke tends to billow in. It blows all over the fucking place. So maybe that's not the right answer. Maybe the right answer is continue with the window method. Have the 2 windows cracked about 2 inches, the driver's side and the rear passenger side about 2 inches, and it'll create that cross breeze. So that would be the next thing, the window. Now, you have your ashtray, you have the window. Invest, find, use it at a car wash, whatever you got to do. Get a vacuum. Have a vacuum so that you can vacuum up that car, get any ash particulate that does not settle into the ashtray. Maybe you ash yourself or something and it blows all over. I don't know. There's always ash that goes everywhere. Find a way to clean up the ash, because the ash is what creates the odor. Then, so and like I said, you can go to, there's, depending, if you're living anywhere like where I'm living, there's a fucking new car wash being built every 4 blocks. And these things are like the super car washes that, will buff and do this. They'll all fuck up your license plates, though. Every single one I've ever been through has just completely destroyed my front license plate. So I'm done with them. I just do the little quarter washes where I go and pump the quarters in and I've got the gun and I spray it down. But that's neither here nor there. The auto washes I'm not a fan of for the vehicle, for the washing side of things. But the vacuums, a lot of them have moved to having free vacuums available. So you can get a vacuum clean for your vehicle at no charge, which if that's the case, do that, because that'll be cheap. You just gotta, like I said, you gotta make sure that you have that all taken care of before you turn it in, because and obviously get rid of the ashtray before you turn it in. The last thing I would recommend, there's different products you can buy. I once heard a story a long time ago about these car bombs that a gentleman was buying at Walmart. I don't know the brand name, unfortunately. He was a police officer. He smoked his squad car his whole career. And his last day, he was out and he had to take his supervisor with him as he did his patrol. And he lit up in the car, and the supervisor was like, "Dude, you're not supposed to smoke in here." And he goes, "I have smoked in this car my whole career. And did you ever know that I did it?" And the guy's like, "No, I didn't." And he's like, "Then there you go." And basically, at the end of his shift, before he turned his car in, he set off this bomb in the vehicle, and it just took care of the odor, and it was fine. Again, I don't know what it is. He said he used to get them at Walmart, so that might be something to look into. There's different sprays. They tend to be too floral. They tend to be too obvious. If you have access to like an oxidizer, I have one that I use in the garage here, and it plugs in, and you turn the little timer, you set it and forget it. I do my garage for 2 hours, realistic, and I don't do it like every night, but I do it for 2 hours. It takes care of odor really, really well. So that would be something, if you have access to like some sort of an oxidizer that you could place into the vehicle. I don't know where you're going to be. I don't know if you're going to have access to power this thing or not. But if you have that and you use that, that would be something that would also help take care of that smell. Otherwise, dude, I'd say, and maybe try and limit the amount of cigars you have in there. Like, if you're driving, like my 4-hour drive to Indy, if I'm driving my personal vehicle, there's a good chance that in a 4-hour drive, I'm putting down 3 cigars. If I'm driving a rental car and I decide to do that, which again, I never have, but if you do you, if you're going to do it and you're looking at that kind of a drive time and whatnot, maybe consider just doing 2, scale it back a little bit so that it's a little less or whatever. But to recap, call the rental car place a couple minutes after you leave and report the smell of smoke. That way it's on record, and that way in case they smell something when you get back, you can say, I told you about this. This is not my problem. That does require some lying on your part, but, it'll ultimately be your CYA later. 2, an ashtray that has a plastic cup that has ice in it so that the ash will stick to the ice and eventually stick to the liquid, and that way, you have more of a confined ashtray, less of a dry ashtray. 3, the window method. Driver's side cracked about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Rear passenger side cracked about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Theoretically, the wind will take it, right out the window. And was that it? Was that all I had? Oh, 4, find a vacuum. Find a vacuum. Vacuum the hell out of that car before you bring it back. And go from there. That would be my recommendation. I hope you don't get in trouble. But if call me and let me know how this goes. I want an update as to how this one goes. If you do decide to do what I've told you, if you decide to take my advice and try all this, I'm really curious as to how this works. Because, rental cars are definitely a thing that we all face at any given time in our life. And, it would be nice to have a cigar. And let's be real, having a cigar inside of a rental car is probably one of the least offensive things that take place in a rental car. People abuse the piss out of rental cars. So, you having a cigar in it is probably one of the least offensive things that car is going to experience over the course of its lifetime. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, that would be our last call. Thank you all so much for your calls. Some really good calls this month or this time. I really appreciate it. And guys, get your calls in for the next time I do this. Call us on the hotline, area code 863-874-0000. That's 863-874-0000. Alrighty, well, I am about a third of the way through this Fuma Noche. It's a nice slow smoke. This is one you fire up at the end of the night and you just sit and you enjoy it. It is a heavy-bodied cigar. This is not, one that, you're firing up at breakfast. It's night cigar. It literally is night cigar. But I'm digging it, and every once in a while, I get that little bit of molassesy sweetness that I was talking about. I haven't done a retrohale, but while perhaps I do that, let's go ahead and do this. It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. It is a very, very strong retrohale. Oh my God, I'm feeling it in my throat. It's a very strong retrohale. it's not as peppery as you might think. I'm actually sitting here struggling, trying to figure out almost like a black licorice kind of component to the Retro Hail. It's good. It's different. It's not what you expect. Like I was expecting full-on pepper spice, and while it hits you with some feeling of spice in the nostrils, the flavor component that I'm getting off of it is more of like an anise or a black licorice kind of sensation. So, interesting cigar. So what have I been watching lately? Of course, King of the Hill. I'm so close to done, guys. It's ridiculous. I think I have like 3 episodes left. I think I'm down to the last 3 episodes. Now, Hulu did something weird. I've been watching it on Hulu, and I'm in season 13. Now, I always thought the last episode of the show is the one where Bobby takes part and competes on the junior college meat judging team. And at the end of the episode, you've got Hank with his grill. He gets a little grill for Bobby. They're grilling together, and all the neighbors smell the meat and come over, and they end up having a big street barbecue right there in the backyard. And that's when Boomhauer throws his wallet on the dresser before he leaves to go over to Hank's house, and it opens up, and you see that he's a Texas Ranger. You see his badge. I always thought that was the season finale or the series finale. Hulu, for whatever reason, has it 4 episodes before the ending. So I don't really understand. I don't know if they mixed up the sequence when they uploaded the episodes to the streaming site or what. But I was watching the other night and I was like, oh shit, this is it. This is the end. And then it started like another episode and I'm like, what the hell? And so I looked and it said I still had like 4 more to go. So, yeah, I don't know who screwed what up there, but I've always been under the impression that we find out what Boomhauer does as a job in that last episode, and maybe that's not the case. Maybe we find out 4 episodes before the end, but I'll tell you, for all the shenanigans and shit that those guys got into, wouldn't it have been really convenient for Boomhauer to be like, hey, I'm a Texas Ranger, yo, and take care of some shit? I mean, hell, there was some illegal shit that they got into, and Boomhauer's involved with it with them, and he's a Texas Ranger, so, like, I don't feel like that job actually jives with the character, but hey, what are you going to do? But the other thing that I watched the first part. I still have the second part to watch. I meant to try and get it watched before I recorded this, and unfortunately, time got away from me. But I did watch the first part of Pee-wee on Himself. And it's a documentary on HBO about Paul Reubens, the guy who played Pee-wee Herman. And it's bizarre. I won't lie. You know, you get to learn all about the early days of his career. He was definitely, you know, he fully embraced his homosexuality very early in his career. And it was only after he started doing Pee-wee that he kind of, and Pee-wee started taking off, that he kind of like essentially went back into the closet. But you know, early on, his stuff prior, I mean, you can tell, like, he's very, I mean, he was a drag queen in various times. I mean, like, there was a lot going on with this guy. And so it's interesting, too, kind of seeing the crossroads of where people intersect. So Pee-wee Paul Reubens was part of this acting troupe out in California, and like the gal who played Elvira was a part of it and was developing the Elvira character while there. Phil Hartman came into it, and Phil Hartman was a big friend of Paul Reubens. I mean, Phil Hartman, you know, helped develop the Pee-wee character. He did the Captain Carl character on the Pee-wee Herman show, which was the initial stage show that they did that kind of really launched, you know, the character beyond, you know, where it started, and eventually was filmed and put onto HBO and really, really put legs underneath it. I feel like Phil Hartman even helps write Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So, I mean, like, Phil Hartman was all up into the Pee-wee situation, And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that Phil Hartman was such a major component of the Pee Wee Herman mythos. Anyway, the first part kind of ended right after Pee Wee's Big Adventure came out. And, you know, you learn that Warner Brothers was like, this is not going to be a thing. And then it turned into a big thing. And so everybody started calling it a sleeper hit. But what I find fascinating about the documentary as a whole, so far at least, obviously there's part 2 is going to be nuts, because part 2, we're going to obviously address the Clubhouse, or Playhouse, I should say, Pee Wee's Playhouse TV show. But we're going to, I've been told that he does address the whole jerking off in the porn theater situation that he got in trouble for, which is what killed Pee Wee's Playhouse. And kind of killed the character for a very, very long time. Killed his career for quite a while. But I want to know what he has to say about that. And then obviously the post porn theater kind of resurgence of his career that led all the way up to his passing in 2023. And, you know, and what's fascinating about this documentary to me is that he knew full well when he sat down to do this that he was dying. So this was almost his way of doing like his autobiography, but on film. And this isn't like, he's just the subject. I mean, he says like, you know, I'm just the subject. But, you know, it's one of those things where like, how does it change your mindset going into and speaking on a documentary about yourself when you know that you have months to live? You know, I feel like that's an interesting dynamic, and I feel like if I knew I had months to live, and somebody was like, "I want to do a documentary about you," I kind of feel like the floodgates of honesty would open up a little bit more than if I knew that I was going to be living and dealing with the ramifications of this documentary. You know, it's one of those things. What do you have to hide? You know, after you're gone, it's like just put it out there and call it a day. So I'm curious as to how the second part's going to go. Anyway, so that's what I've been watching. Let's go ahead now and do this. It's time to fly high with Blackbird Cigars. Blackbird Cigars offers you remarkable quality using the most delicate and finest tobacco to always ensure that you're receiving unsurpassed cigars. Blackbird Cigars strives to give you undoubted repeating flavor for every cigar you smoke and impressive quality so that you can always expect greatness. Check out their website for a full list of stores carrying Blackbird Cigars and give them a test flight. Blackbird Cigars, can't clip our wings. All right, so let me bring it up here. Today we're going to be going to 1938. And in 1938, a young British stockbroker named Nicholas Winston was planning a skiing holiday. But when a friend urged him to visit Prague instead, Winston changed his plans. What he saw there would alter the course of hundreds of lives. At the time, Nazi Germany had already annexed parts of Czechoslovakia, and the Jewish population was in growing danger. Refugees, especially children, were desperate for help. Winston, himself only 29 years old, realized that no one was organizing their evacuation, so he took it upon himself. With no government mandate and no NGO backing, Winston created an operation from scratch. Working out of a hotel room in Prague, he compiled lists of children, secured foster homes in Britain, raised funds, and navigated the slow, frustrating bureaucracy. Back in London, he lobbied the British government to allow entry for the children. In total, he saved 669 children, arranging 8 trains from Czechoslovakia to Britain. A 9th train carrying 250 more children was scheduled to leave on September 1st, 1939, the day that Germany invaded Poland. War was declared, the borders closed, and that final train never departed, and most of those children were never seen again. Winston never spoke much about what he did. For 50 years, not even his wife knew. In 1988, she found a scrapbook in their attic with the names, photos, and documents. His story finally came to light, and many of the children he saved, now elderly, were able to thank him in person. Nicholas Winston died in 2015 at the age of 106. His humility, courage, and quiet action saved generations of lives. So be like Nicholas Winston and Blackbird Cigars, and don't let anybody clip your wings. I like that story. It's kind of like it's another Schindler. You hear about Schindler's List, but it's another Oscar Schindler. But anyway, so I normally would play 3 cigars I smoked and enjoyed this week. However, I really haven't smoked a whole lot in the past week. You guys have heard some of it. I did do my Cigar Authority star reviews. I was behind, so I did 23C and I did 24C. I got both of the. I think I got 24C submitted. I know I got 23 submitted. I need to see if I went ahead and submitted 24 or not. But if I didn't, I have it done. So I just need to fire off the email. Anyway, so no, I'll be honest. They were both good cigars. I don't know what they are, so it's hard for me to say 3 cigars I smoked and enjoyed this week. So there's that. But anyway, I guess I'll just go ahead and say that in terms of the socials, I'm available on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook, where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. Get in on the fun there. I have Twitter/X. You can watch this on Rumble and on YouTube. And if you use Spotify to listen to the show, you can also watch it on Spotify, because we do Spotify video as well. I do need your calls for the Ask the Pulpit hotline. I already put that out there, but it never hurts to say it again. Area code 863-874-0000. And guys, Pulpit Fest. Let's talk for a minute about Pulpit Fest. Pulpit Fest 2025, August 22nd through the 24th, Palm Coast, Florida, at the Ash and Ale. 30 minutes south of St. Augustine, 30 minutes north of Daytona. It's going to be a wonderful time. We're going to have Renee Castaneda from Villiger Cigars there with Hector. We're going to have Huso Aroa and Trey Mack from Aladino Cigars there. You guys aren't going to want to miss it. It's going to be a wonderful time. The goodie bags are out of this world. We've got all kinds of stuff that's going to be fun and wonderful to take part in. You're going to have a good time. General admission tickets are still available on eventbrite.com. So if you go to eventbrite.com and search for Pulpit Fest 2025, you will find it. You could also go to cigarpulpit.com. It's the first post on the website. With a link, you can, if you're in the parishioners group, it's a pinned post. So go wherever the pinned posts are and you can find the link there. Or if you're an Instagram user, it's in my Instagram bio. It's all over the place. Find the link, go and get your ticket. Tickets are $35. However, 30 of it gets returned to you as in-store credit at the Ash and Ale when, for your first purchase. So in reality, it's like $5 plus some taxes and fees that Eventbrite tax on. It's not that much. Basically, we're doing that strictly so that you have a little skin in the game and you show up. Because last year we had some people that reserved tickets, but didn't show up and we didn't get them processed in enough time. And so if some folks wanted to come and couldn't because tickets were sold out, well, that sucks. So anyway, the bottom line is tickets are available over at Eventbrite. Go and do that. It's going to be a wonderful time. You're not going to want to miss it. And from there, come out. Come and party. Especially if you're a Florida listener. I have so many Florida listeners. And, come on out. It's not that far. It's a 4-hour drive from Miami to Palm Coast. It's like an hour and a half from Orlando to Palm Coast. Maybe like 3 hours from Tampa to Palm Coast. I mean, there are plenty of opportunities for you to come out and take part in the fun. You're not going to want to miss it. Definitely come out. Pulpit Fest 2025. Otherwise, I'm talking so much that my cigar is now going out. So I am going to wrap this up. Guys, thank you so much for your calls. It's always a pleasure doing these shows. I really enjoy the interaction. And keep the comments and questions and everything coming because it's always so much fun doing these. And then otherwise, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. Stay safe, stay smoky. Take it easy, everyone.